Last weekend, we celebrated Trinity Sunday, and we explored how Trinity is our uniquely Christian doctrine, an understanding of God which is unique to Christians, not shared by other religious faiths such as Jews, Muslims, Hindus, and others. This weekend, we celebrate Corpus Christi, which is our uniquely Catholic feast day, because it celebrates our uniquely Catholic understanding of the Eucharist. That is, that Jesus Christ is fully present in the body of Christ and the blood of Christ, which we consume at Mass. As part of Corpus Christi weekend, we've made it our tradition in our parish, as it is in many places, to celebrate children's First Communion on this Sunday and for us the next couple of Sundays after. The great challenge with Corpus Christi, and indeed with the Eucharist, is that it is so difficult to explain to adults, let alone to children, because it is an incredible mystery which defies really almost all logic. It defies human understandings, human explanations. There's really no perfect explanation. There are not even really very good analogies for it. It stands as such a unique phenomena in the world, which is why we celebrate and treasure it so deeply, but it makes it hard to explain. The central teaching for us is the idea of real presence, that Jesus is truly present in the Eucharist, in our receiving of the Eucharist. It's not just a symbol of Jesus, not a reminder of Jesus. For us, it is both of those, and it is truly Him. Just as at the Last Supper, Jesus said, "This is my body, take it and eat it." Not, "This will remind you of me." He said, "This is it." So we take Jesus at His word and accept that the Eucharist is for us the true presence of Jesus. Many explanations have been given throughout history, the most, outstanding one being that of transubstantiation, that idea of substance, the substance of the bread changing into the substance of Christ. Now that was an explanation which made perfect sense in the context of the Middle Ages, when science believed that things could change into other things. Alchemy was the belief that the cheaper metals like tin and lead could be changed into precious metals like silver and gold. They couldn't, of course, but that was a belief and an attempt over many years to make that happen. So the idea that bread could change substance into the substance of Christ was a great way of speaking about the Eucharist at the time. It's remained one of our teachings, but it's not actually the doctrine. The doctrine is real presence. One possible explanation is transubstantiation. So we can try and find other explanations as well, other ways, other angles, other images, which help us to come to a deeper appreciation. One of my favourites is actually to use literature, to use The Lord of the Rings and Harry Potter, both of which have storylines in which a powerful spiritual being can place their spirit into an inanimate object, that being the ring itself, the Ring of Power, or the Horcruxes of Harry Potter. But this weekend, our children who are in Year 4 receiving their First Communion hopefully have not been watching those M-rated movies and likely have not seen and have not read those books, or at least if they've begun to read them, probably don't fully understand the ramifications of it. I think it's a great teenage and adult image for Eucharist, but we're going to need some other ones for kids. So let me try a couple on you. I'm going to ask our kids whether or not you can fit a really big thing into a small thing. Like, can you fit your bed into your lunchbox? No, of course not. Could you fit your car into the fridge? No, of course not. I'm going to say, but there is a special time when something very big comes into something much, much smaller. And that is that the God of the universe, the God who made the universe, came to be present in Jesus, the man who walked around Israel 2,000 years ago. And that's something that lots of people at Jesus' time didn't believe, but we do. We believe that in Jesus all the fullness of God was pleased to dwell. And so we accept that, and that's something, of course, all Christians share. We believe that God can be present in the person of Jesus. But we then go a step further as Catholics to say we believe that the person of Jesus came to be present in the Eucharist, in the body of Christ. Well, how's that even possible? I'm going to use the analogy of a black hole and say, think about a star as big as our sun, which is bigger than the Earth, in fact, much bigger than our sun. which at the end of its life then begins to collapse inwards. And as it collapses inward, it crunches in, it compresses, and becomes so dense that even the atoms get squished in, and all the space within the atoms gets squeezed out, till in the end we end up with something which has all the matter, all the substance of the original star, the original sun, compressed into something the size of maybe a basketball, which becomes so incredibly dense, so incredibly powerful. Its gravity is so strong that not even light can escape, and hence it becomes a black hole. All that original star is found present in that tiny, tiny neutron star or black hole. Not a perfect analogy, I know, but just an idea that there's something very big, all the substance of something big can be compressed into something much, much smaller. So, well, maybe that's something we can look at, the way that Jesus becomes present for us in that small wafer of the body of Christ. But for us, of course, we as Catholics don't just say that Jesus is Jesus in the bread. We say the bread has become Jesus. So how do we explore that? I'm going to use the analogy of a cup of tea. That when we have our tea bag and we soak it in the hot water for a couple of minutes, we take the tea bag out. If you say, what's in that cup? You wouldn't say, well, that's water with tea in it. You would say, that's a cup of tea. The strong thing has overwhelmed the weak thing. The tea has overwhelmed or transformed or taken over the water, so the water becomes that thing. It becomes tea. We might say the same happens then in the Eucharist, that the strong thing, the presence of Jesus, takes over the weaker thing, the host of bread. And so we can rightly say that the Eucharist, the bread we eat, has become the body of Christ. Neither of those are perfect explanations by a long shot, but they're just a couple of images I've been working with the last little while. I hope they'll make something sense for the kids. I expect they're more interested in black holes than in cups of tea, but we can take either of those if it's any help to us, and if they're not, we can look to other images as well, because one of the great things about our mystery of God is that our words always fail us, because God is always beyond. God is always more. And that's true of our great mystery of the Eucharist too, that we will never get to the end of exploring, plumbing the depths of what it is and what it means for us to receive in the bread and the wine, to receive the presence of Jesus into our hearts and into our lives. Happy Corpus Christi feast day to you all.